Welcome to WordPress training. This is a tutorial on how to write a blog post properly in WordPress. The website that I'm going to be working on is worryfreetaxtulsa.com. This is a new website that was recently built February 20th, 2019. So, excuse me, I'm going to start from WordPress. I'm going to go ahead and log out, assuming that whoever's watching this has no WordPress experience at all. Alright, so once you get to the login page, of course, log into WordPress. You'll land on what's called the dashboard. The dashboard is really just kind of a brief overview of the things going on in your website. I never pay attention to any of this stuff. Okay, to write a blog post, there's different type of content, two different types of content on a WordPress website. You have pages and you have posts. Pages are more static. They don't change as often. You don't want to put time-sensitive information on pages unless you have like an event calendar page where the information is constantly changing. Time-sensitive information and knowledge-based type stuff, depending on the industry, is better suited for a blog. People are accustomed or have become accustomed to going to the blog section of a website to receive new articles that were written recently, things that are happening in the news regarding whatever industry we're talking about here. So pages are static. You get your home page, your services page, your about page, your payment page. Those are pages. A blog is a page, but on that blog page you have blog posts. And so when I say we're going to create a blog post, it's not going to be a static page. It's going to be part of your menu. In order to get to it, people will have to go to the blog. Now, as your blog grows, there are things you can do to integrate that stuff into the navigation, but that's further down the road. Okay, so let's create a blog post. There's a couple ways to do that. Anywhere in WordPress, if you look up at the top menu bar, you can create a new page, a new post, a new user. There's lots of things you can create, or you can go over here to posts, and in the flyout menu, click on Add New. Okay, I'm going to be pulling the content from a Word document that was provided to me by the client, and the title of this blog post, obviously, and the way I do it is once I copy text from the Word document, I'll highlight it to know that I don't have to bring it over again, that it's already over here. So I'll go ahead and paste the title. The very first thing that WordPress does as soon as you paste the title is it will assign that blog post whatever the default category is, and it will also automatically write or scribe the slug or the ending trail of the URL. This is the URL for this blog post. The default blog category on this website is accounting and bookkeeping. If you want to look at all the categories on a WordPress blog, if you look over to the left under posts, you'll see categories. I'm just going to open that in a new tab. What we have done is we try to create the categories ahead of time based on other websites of the same industry. So I looked up a few famous tax and accounting blogs that receive a lot of traffic and looked at the type of categories that they had on theirs, and I put some of those on my clients here. All right. So it'll tell you the list of all the categories in alphabetical order. One thing I want to mention is, as you're blogging, you can create categories. So if there's not a category, if you're looking over here on the blog post and you look over here on categories and you think, the content that I want to post doesn't really fall in any of these categories. You can add a category, and it'll assign it to this post. If you go back to the categories here, it'll tell you how many posts you have in each of these categories. This is a new website, so there's only a few blog posts or articles. So if you'll notice that when you're creating categories, be sure and keep the capitalization consistent with the way your other categories are set up. You'll see that these are set up in title format. So the second word in a lot of these is capitalized, like you would if you were writing it as a title. And so keep that in mind when you're creating new categories. Don't keep one lowercase and the rest are uppercase. Keep it consistent. That's what keeps the site organized. Post tags are the same way, and we'll talk about post tags in a minute. All right, the first thing you want to change is the slug. You can tell this is a really long URL, so we want to change that. What WordPress did is it took each of these words and it hyphenated them. So if I click on Edit, it won't let you change the category because that's kind of set in stone based on the category that's selected over here. What we want to do is take out what I call bywords, like and, the, it, were, connecting words, whatever you want to call them. So we're just going to leave in the keywords here, IRS, but you still kind of want it to make sense. IRS waives late tax. We'll take out the word payment and just go with penalties. You want to try to keep it as short as you can because long URLs, they're long and they're hard to share, but this is the most search engine friendly way to do this. So you got to make sure that your permalinks are set up properly, and if you're not a developer, that doesn't really mean anything important. The permalinks are set up properly on this website. So, all right, that's much better. Now we can begin dumping our content on here. Be sure that you have the visual tab checked. This is what we call a Wysiwyg editor. Wysiwyg stands for what you see is what you get. So the editing works much like Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint. You have some of the same tools here. And if you just type some content and I bold and italicize this, then WordPress will write the code in HTML for you. So you'll never have to look at any code. It's basically if you're comfortable using programs like Microsoft Word, you shouldn't have any problems in WordPress. Okay, you do, in my opinion. I think it's important that you know the difference between a hard carriage return and a soft carriage return. A hard carriage return is when you get to the end of a paragraph or whatever and you push return one time. You'll notice that it's double spaced. However, if you need the content to be exactly under the line that you're typing on, then you don't want to do a hard carriage return. You want to hold down the shift key and then push return. And you'll see it puts the cursor right under that line so you can do this. That's a soft carriage return. Again, a hard carriage return is just pushing the return key, and there you go. So that's important to know in WordPress. All right, so let's get the rest of the content here. And what I like to do in when I'm pasting from Word to WordPress is I'll highlight all of my content and then I'll clear the formatting. Okay. The reason I do this is because a lot of times Microsoft Word has this weird ability to how do I want to put this? It hides style, HTML style CSS, inline CSS in the code. So a lot of times it will paste not just the text, but it'll paste a bunch of other garbage that goes into the code that WordPress won't clean up. And so it can cause problems down the road. So just make sure that when you're pasting your content from Word that there is no formatting, and you'll have a much easier time with it. All right, since I have all the content from this, I'm just going to hide it so I can make my browser just a little bit bigger. Okay. All right, so we're going to paste the content, And I like to make my window a little bit larger. It looks like it's already done that for me. Alright, now you'll see that there's some extra spaces here. What I do is start from the bottom and I just start closing these up. This is when you want to start proofreading, like you've got a space missing here. You want to get rid of that link. Get rid of that link. Okay. Now, we have some subtitles here. So what we need to do is the subtitles need to be H2s and H3s. So we choose heading 1, or heading 2, I'm sorry. And we'll do heading 3 for this one. Using these H2s and H3s is very important because the search engines look for these. We'll go back to a 2 on this one. The ones that have the better keywords in them need to be H2s, and the other ones need to be H3s. Okay, I'm just looking through this content here. Make sure that Microsoft Word didn't, okay, yeah, so there's no weird code in here or whatever, so that's good. Okay. I'm just looking through the text to make sure that there aren't any misspelled words or grammar or punctuation mistakes. Everything looks good. Okay. The next thing we need to do is choose a category. So this is about tax payment penalties. I think it needs to go under taxes. And okay, now post tags, let me explain post tags. Post tags are another way for you to organize your content so that people can find what they're looking for more easily. And I'll show you an example. I'll go to my website, TulsaWebDesignFirm.com. And I have a lot of really old content on my site, but it's organized very well. And so I want to show you the real purpose of having a blog on a website. The blog is the easiest way for you to keep your articles and all your posts very organized in categories and tags. If you look at this, my blog. Okay, so there's a lot of categories. Where are my categories? Okay, so this article here I wrote, The Digital Genesis for Your Church, is in the category of technology. Okay, so if I were to click on the word technology here, what it's going to do is it's going to pull all the other articles that I posted in that category, and it's going to place them onto an archive so that I can read all of the other articles that were posted in the category of technology. And there's a few of them. I have this one, The Digital Genesis for Your Church. You'll see that there's a new article, and there's this thing on the left over here. This article, this article, this one. Okay, so that's the purpose of categories. So I can go and read articles just on a specific category instead of just reading, oh, here's the first article on the blog, here's the second article on the blog. No, there is, let's see, how about search engine optimization? So this category, you can see that there are a lot of articles in this category as well. So the thing is that when you're blogging, you need to choose a primary category, but just one category. Don't put the post in multiple categories, because then you lose control over which category gets assigned to that post. It confuses WordPress. WordPress only needs one category in order to create this subdirectory or this slug. So if I choose to put this in taxes, tax law, payroll, and industry trends, it'll put them all in there, but you'll get dinged by the search engines for having duplicate content because you're putting one post in 4 different categories, and on those category archive pages, that same post is going to be listed 4 different times. So you'll get hit for duplicate content, excuse me, of the hiccups. So another way to organize your content, since you can only go with one category, because some of your content's going to have other good keywords in it that might not be associated with the primary topic, but you definitely still want to point them out. Let's see if we can find a good example here. Okay, penalty relief. So let's make that into a post tag. So we'll say tax penalty relief, and we'll add that. Okay, let's see if we can find another one. Here's some most used tags right here. So if you see these keywords in the main text for some existing post tags, then all you have to do is just click on it. Let's see if we can just kind of go through this. We talk about tax reform. That's a good post tag. Let's see. Estimated tax payments. That might be a good post tag. And you notice that I'm capitalizing it like I'm doing it if it were a title. Tax liability. It looks like that's probably it. Sorry, I'm going slow. I'm just kind of going through this content because this is kind of new information for me. So we got tax penalty relief. So think of it this way: the categories need to be really, really broad. But I'm sure under the category of taxes, you can think of probably 30 to 40 other topics where you would still put it in the taxes category, but you've got to be able to subdivide that content to make it more digestible to website visitors. It's got to be organized in a way where they know that they're reading content specifically about taxes in this category, but within that category, it needs to be broken down a little bit further for them so that the content can be organized and help them find what they're looking for. And we do that with post tags. So I can assign as many post tags to a blog post as I want to, and what it'll do is WordPress will create a tag archive page just like it creates category archive pages. If you continue to, like if you happen to mention tax reform in the next 3 blog posts, well, those blog posts are going to go under the taxes category, but you need to make sure and add the tax reform post tag to all 3 of those next posts. That way, if somebody clicks on tax reform, they're going to get this post and the other 3 posts that you wrote, as well as the other post tags that you write. So categories and post tags are a way for you to organize your content on your blog as you create the content. And so it creates these archives for you. It just makes things way easier on your website visitors. All right, let's talk a little bit about search engine optimization. You got to have a good title, and that's always going to be the title of your article. So if you go down underneath the content window and look at the SEO section where it says title, we just want to paste that title, and then do a space with a vertical bar and another space, and then the name of the company. Worry-free tax and accounting. And I always throw in the name of the city after that. Okay. The search engines are only going to read the first 60 characters, so it's going to kind of drop off. It'll cut off right here. And then we got to have a good description. And you can type a description, but it's better if the meta description for the search engine optimization kind of sums up the content or the keywords that are going to the keywords that could highlight the content the most is what you want to put in the description. So usually that's going to be the first sentence of the blog post, because as we all learned in school, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So you're going to mention in the first sentence or two what you're going to write about, and then you can go into it. So usually the first sentence makes a good description, but you want to keep it under 160 characters. So, all right. Don't have to do keywords because search engines don't read those anymore. So we filled out the title, we have a good description, and what this is when the search engines index this website or any website, they're going to find this blog post and they're going to log the keywords and they're going to take note of what you put for the title and the descriptions, so that when this blog post shows up in search results, this is what it's going to look like. So it's giving me a little preview snippet of what my results will look like if this blog post meets the criteria or matches the keywords in whatever query that someone's performing in the search engines. It's going to come up. This is what it'll look like. So you have control over that. If you don't fill this out, it's not going to show up in search engines. So, all right. The other thing we need to talk about, and this is where you really need to have a handle on what content is on your website and where it is, because one of the most important parts of search engine optimization and making your content available for the search engines to display is original content. Do not plagiarize. Do not take content from somewhere else. If you do, make sure you credit them, you source it, and give them a backlink to the original article where it was taken. But still add your own word, add your own commentary, because the search engines give priority to people that have original content on their websites, because the search engine's job is to provide the most accurate results, the most, not necessarily accurate, but the most applicable results based on the keywords in your query, in your search. So they don't want to just display a bunch of results that are regurgitating, content that you can get on 100,000 other websites. They want unique. They want it to be unique. So when you're writing your post, be sure and go through here and find your keywords. So we're talking about tax payment penalties. So tax penalty relief is a great keyword, but we want to emphasize that by either bolding, italicizing, or underlining. And underlining, if you're on a Mac, you hold down the Command key and push the letter U. If you're on a PC, you want to hold down the Control key and push the letter U. I don't know why they don't put underline in this list. Probably because when you create a hyperlink, it's going to underline it, but not always. Federal income tax is probably going to be a good keyword, so we will we'll bold that one too. Tax liability. No, I want to talk about tax penalties. Okay, penalty. Let's throw in the word tax here. So what I'm doing is, even though this wasn't in my client's original content, the key phrase that we're focusing on here is tax payment penalties, tax penalty relief. And so that word tax is an important keyword. So I'm gonna enter this in here, and then I'm gonna add emphasis to it by making it italicized, because that tells the search engines, hey, they added emphasis to this. This is an important keyword. So those little bitty details are real important. Here's another one, penalty relief. We'll say the tax penalty relief, because that's the focus of the keyword that we're working on. Okay, that's enough. 2 or 3 is fine. This is a good length for a blog post. If you want to go longer, great. All right, another thing we need to do is create an internal linking structure on your website. And this is an ongoing thing. Whenever you come across new content that you've written, there's going to be keywords and phrases that are going to be found on other pages on your website or posts that might kind of talk about the same thing. For example, in this article, it says right here, federal income tax. Well, if I have a blog post where I talk about federal income tax, like the topic of the discussion in that blog post was federal income tax, then I want to make sure and link this text to that article. I mean, you've seen this as you're browsing the web and reading other people's websites. They do that. They don't say, click here. All you're doing is you're underlining the keywords that's linking to another blog post that talks about federal income tax. Okay? I'm trying to think. I want to do a good example for you. Let's go to the website and see what's on the blog. It's been a few days since I looked at this website, so let's look at maximize your tax deductions blog post. Oh, my phone's ringing. I'm going to push pause. Okay, sorry for the interruption there. So what I wanted to show you was on the blog. Where is it? Okay, this is the post that we're creating. So I wanted to show you. All right, there's this blog post here, and the title of the post is "Maximize Your Tax Deductions." Okay, now there's another place on the website where we also talk about tax deductions, and that's under the page under services of tax preparation. So I'm going to open that in a new tab, and you'll see there's very similar content on this post where we talk about maximize your tax deductions, and then on this other page under services we talk about maximizing your tax deductions. So we need to connect this page and this post, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm just going to go in and if you're using an updated version of WordPress, if you're not sure where the content is by looking at all of your pages, and there's a certain part of content, but you're just not sure what page it's on, you can go to the live version of the website and find the content, and then just go up and click Edit. This is a post on this page. We want to go into the what we call the Wysiwyg Editor, or the administration. So we'll click on Edit Page. So now we're looking at the editorial layout for this post and the editorial layout for this page. They're going to look a little bit different. The pages are done in a different type of layout editor. It's more of a drag and drop type of a thing. Anyways, this content we want to link, and not just anyway, we want to do it in a very deliberate way. So where we talk about tax deductions, let's find the word tax deductions. Here we go, right here. So that we want to link the words tax deductions, and the title of this page is tax preparation. So what we're going to do is highlight the word tax deductions, and then click on the insert link, and then don't click on this. Click on this little cogwheel, and what was the name of that page? Tax preparation. Just type in tax preparation, and it'll find that page for us. And you'll know it's a page because it'll say page right here. If it's a post, it'll have a date by it, and that's just the date that the post was created or whatever. So all you have to do is click on tax preparation, and WordPress will automatically fill in the proper URL to that page, and then we just click add link, and now those words on this page now link to this, or on this post now link to this page. Now we're going to do the same thing on this page. We're going to go down to the maximize your tax deductions content. Now what this is these are just text boxes basically, and I'll show you a little bit more about this in a minute, but we're going to click on this paragraph, and we're going to find the words tax deduction are not on here, so we're going to create it right there. So we're going to take this, and we can't link to, oh yeah we can. So the title of this is maximize your tax deductions. So we go up here and we're going to find that post. There it is right there. We know it's a post because it's got a date by it. So just click on that and click Add Link, save, and scroll up and click on the blue Update button. So this is just a short example of how to build an internal linking structure between your pages and your posts, and between pages and pages and posts and posts. So you don't necessarily have to link from a page to a post or from a post to a page. You can link from one post to another post or from one page to another page. There just needs to be this network, like spider web link structure of your website, so that there's links to all over. You build up enough content to where if somebody's reading an article that you wrote, you've got links in that article to other articles on your website that talk about the same subject or something very similar. So keep that in mind while you're developing content on your blog. Okay, and then obviously we're going to update this post. All right, going back to our post that we're creating, we've done everything that we need to do. Now all we have to do is find an image. The easiest way to do this is with Google Images. We have mentioned that our primary keyword or phrase that would encapsulate this article is tax payment penalty. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to go to images.google.com, and we're going to paste that in there and see what comes up. All right, now any images, unless they're specifically stated on this, are free game. You can use them as long as there's not a copyright on them. Now, the way I do it is I click on Tools, More Tools, and click on Show Sizes. And what that's going to do, these are pixel sizes. Okay, the size of the image, and I know this is getting super detailed, but this is if you want everything to be perfect. I'm just giving you all the information. This is how I do it. Okay, so these images right here, I'll tell you how big they are. They are about 890 by 330. So 890 pixels wide by 330 pixels tall. So we need to kind of find an image that's around that size. Something that's, what are we talking about? Tax penalties? Yeah. This one will probably work. This one might work. Let's try this one. You don't want to pick one that's too big, like this one, 2637 by 1765. That's going to be a big image. You don't want to get a huge image because huge images are larger in file size and they're going to take a little bit longer to download, or it'll take the page longer to load. Alright, so this is how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to drag it to my desktop, and then I'm going to rename it. We're going to rename it with our keywords. Hello, can I please rename my image? Okay. Tax in all lowercase. Always use lowercase when you're renaming images that are going to be uploaded to a website. Tax hyphen payment penalty. Alright. Now, if you look over to the right, over in the sidebar where it says featured image, the featured image is displayed here. And then when you go to the actual article, that same image will be displayed at the top. So that's what we're adding to this post that we're creating. So just click on the Set Featured Image link and Upload Files tab, and you can either click on Select Files, or you can just take it and just drag it over and drop it. The other thing you need to do is on the Alt Text, we want to type in our keyword again, tax payment penalties. And what that does is, remember when we went to Google Images and we typed in tax payment penalties? The way that Google knows to bring up these images is because these web developers were smart enough to add this keyword or key phrase in the alt text, which is appended as metadata inside that image. So Google doesn't look at the image and go, oh, that looks like a tax payment penalty image. No, Google doesn't see that image. Google sees the metadata that's attached to that image, like the file name of the image, which we changed, and the alt text here. So these are things that we want to change. We want to associate this image with the keyword or phrase that is the focus of our blog post. Hope that makes sense. So just click on Set Featured Image, and now what I'll do before I publish this is I'll go through and make sure that I change my slug, which I did, taking out the bywords like and, the, it, for. I'll go through and make sure that I bolded or I italicized my keywords. I make sure that I have at least one hyperlink from this text to another page or post on my website. I make sure that on my SEO that I have a strong title, which is usually almost always the title of the blog post, along with the name of the business and the city that it's in, and then the first sentence or two from the first paragraph. I also placed it in the proper category, and only one category, not multiple categories, just one. And then choose as many post tags as you want to. Also, there's a list of post tags that were created. Not all developers do this, but I do this sometimes so that you can kind of see which post tags have already been created. And you can also add post tags, as keywords in the article that you want to highlight or create post tag archives for. This layout, don't worry about this. This is just all default stuff. And that's it. And we have our featured image. So all the boxes have information in them. It's all good. So all we have to do is click publish. Alright, now to check our work, I'm going to go to the blog page because I want to see what my excerpt looks like. See how that image looks. Alright, so that image looks good. It's a little taller than these others, but unless you have Photoshop or an image editing program, I just try to find something that's close that fits this, and if it doesn't ends up not looking good, then go try to find another one. Okay, so this looks good. We have our title, our first sentence. Okay, looking good. So let's check out our article. And there it is. Looks pretty good to me. That's how you post a blog. So, if you have any questions, let me know, and I hope you learned something. Don't let it overwhelm you. It's not hard. Once you do a couple, it gets easier and it just becomes second nature. So, blog often and don't plagiarize. Have fun.